They looked unstoppable. Claws that healed instantly. Minds that could move worlds. Powers that defied death itself. But when the costumes came off and the cameras stopped rolling, the actors behind X-Men 2000 discovered a harsh truth: real life has no superpowers. Behind the success were illnesses that wouldn't heal, marriages that couldn't survive fame, careers broken by silence, and lives forever changed by loss. Tonight, we're uncovering the real stories that unfolded far away from the screen, the struggles, the survival, and the legacies that time could not erase. Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you may never look at X-Men the same way again. Hugh Jackman Wolverine. Wolverine was fierce, indestructible, and emotionally scarred, and Hugh Jackman made him unforgettable. At just 32 years old, Jackman transformed Logan into a tragic hero whose pain felt painfully real. Born in Sydney, Australia, Hugh Jackman's rise was anything but smooth. Overnight success brought relentless expectations. His body became a battlefield of extreme training, dangerous stunts, and punishing schedules that pushed him far beyond human limits. While audiences saw strength, behind the scenes exhaustion slowly took over. At the same time, Jackman chased excellence on stage, diving deep into musical theater and demanding performances that left little room for rest. Years of pressure began bleeding into his personal life. His marriage to Deborah Lee Furness, once praised as one of Hollywood's strongest, quietly struggled under distance and emotional strain. Then came the health scares. Beginning in 2013, Jackman faced repeated skin cancer surgeries. Public appearances with bandages became a stark reminder that even Wolverine cannot heal in real life. Each recurrence forced him to confront his own vulnerability. In 2023, after nearly 3 decades together, Jackman and Furness separated, ending a chapter many believed would last forever. Now, in his late 50s, Jackman chooses balance over spectacle, meaning over muscle. His scars are no longer hidden, and neither is his humanity. Halle Berry Storm. Storm wasn't just powerful, she was symbolic. Halle Berry became one of the first women of color to hold such power in a superhero film, reshaping representation forever. But behind Storm's commanding presence lived a woman carrying deep emotional wounds. Raised amid family instability, Berry entered adulthood with scars that followed her into relationships. Her first marriage collapsed under emotional abuse, pushing her into a darkness she later admitted nearly consumed her entirely. Just as X-Men launched her into superstardom, her personal life was unraveling. Even her historic Oscar win could not protect her from heartbreak. A second marriage ended in betrayal, followed by years of legal battles and public conflict that drained her emotionally. Berry also faced lifelong health challenges, living with diabetes since her teens and suffering permanent hearing loss after a violent incident. These struggles shaped her perspective on survival and strength. Today, Halle Berry continues acting and directing with intention, choosing stories rooted in truth and resilience. Her life is not a fairy tale, but it is a testament to endurance. Stewart, Professor X. Professor Charles Xavier represented wisdom, compassion, and moral leadership. Stewart brought those qualities to life, but they were forged through pain. Raised in poverty with an abusive father, Stewart learned emotional control early. That restraint shaped both his life and his performance. Before X-Men, he devoted decades to classical theater, mastering discipline while quietly carrying unresolved trauma. His personal relationships suffered. 2 marriages ended in emotional distance and regret, leaving him questioning whether success had cost him intimacy. Health issues, including arthritis and tremors, later threatened the very tools that built his career. Yet Stewart persisted. Even in his 80s, he continues acting, lending his voice and presence to new generations. His legacy is not just iconic roles, it is resilience shaped by compassion. Ian McKellen Magneto. Magneto was not born a villain. He was created by suffering. Ian McKellen understood that deeply. Growing up during wartime England, losing his mother young, McKellen carried grief into adulthood. When he portrayed Magneto, he infused the role with lived pain, fear, anger, and survival instincts shaped by loss. Coming out as gay in an industry unprepared for openness brought professional obstacles. Love came, but permanence did not. Health challenges later forced McKellen to slow down and reflect on mortality. Today, McKellen stands not only as a legendary actor, but as a voice for dignity, art, and human rights, a living symbol of survival through truth. Anna Paquin Rogue. Rogue was afraid to touch the world. So was Anna Paquin in her own way. After winning an Oscar as a child, Paquin entered X-Men at just 18, surrounded by seasoned actors, while still discovering who she was. Fame came too early. Marriage, motherhood, and public scrutiny followed. Coming out publicly brought both empowerment and backlash. After childbirth, Paquin battled anxiety and postpartum depression, stepping away from the spotlight to rebuild herself quietly. Now she chooses roles for depth, not attention. Her story is not about glamour, it's about reclaiming identity. Famed Jensen Jean Grey. Jean Grey carried impossible power and paid the price. Famke Janssen mirrored that struggle off-screen. Entering Hollywood through modeling, she faced constant typecasting. Her marriage ended just as X-Men premiered, leaving her navigating heartbreak alongside career pressure. As ageism crept in, opportunities narrowed. Instead of fading away, Jensen took control, moving into directing and producing, reshaping her narrative on her own terms. Her legacy is survival through reinvention. James Marsden's Cyclops. Cyclops was disciplined, loyal, and often overlooked. So was James Marsden. Despite talent and charisma, Marsden frequently found himself sidelined both in films and career opportunities. Marriage ended, self-doubt followed, and the fear of being replaced lingered. Yet he endured. Television brought renewal. Depth replaced frustration. Marsden's story is not explosive, it's quietly human. Rebecca Romijn Mystique. Mystique was never allowed to be herself. Rebecca Romijn lived a similar reality. Heavy prosthetics, physical pain, and relentless judgment defined her early career. A high-profile divorce intensified scrutiny, leaving her rebuilding from public heartbreak. Eventually, she found stability, family, and peace, proving survival doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks steady. Shawn Ashmore Iceman. Iceman waited in the background. So did Shawn Ashmore. Growing up with an identical twin brought constant comparison. Typecasting limited his rise. But Ashmore adapted, moving into television, voice work, and gaming. Longevity became his victory. Ray Park Toad. Ray Park spoke through movement, not words. Yet that silence often hid his contribution. Years of physical sacrifice left lasting pain. Roles came, but recognition lagged. Still, Park remained grounded through family and passion for martial arts. His legacy lives in motion, not dialogue. Tyler Mane Sabretooth. Sabretooth was raw power. Tyler Mane paid for it physically. From wrestling to acting, his body absorbed decades of punishment. After divorce and reinvention, Mane reclaimed control through production and partnership. Returning to the franchise decades later wasn't nostalgia, it was validation. Bruce Davison's Senator Kelly. Bruce Davison portrayed fear itself, a career built on restraint, depth, and quiet power. Often typecast, he understood exactly what prejudice looked like. His life found peace later, grounded in consistency rather than fame. Sometimes the most important roles whisper, not shout. George Buza, The Unseen Legacy. George Buza's face was rarely famous, but his voice shaped childhoods. As Beast in animation, he reached millions while remaining unseen. His story reminds us that impact isn't always visible. 25 years later, X-Men remains more than a movie. It's a mirror reflecting survival, pain, courage, and change. Behind every mutant was a human being. Behind every power, a price. Whose story moved you the most? Which journey surprised you? Tell us in the comments. And if you want more deep, honest stories about the people behind legendary films, subscribe and stay with us. Because the real stories are always deeper than the screen.